Ambassador John Bolton joining me tonight has been former national security advisor to the United States government under President Donald Trump and has been a former ambassador to the United Nations. Ambassador Bolton, it's a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Glad to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of people interested in your thoughts tonight. Firstly, it's quite clear to us in India that unless you tackle the source of the problem, which is Pakistan, the situation is going to hemorrhage. The bombings will not stop, neither will the terrorism, because much of the source of the money, funds, manpower comes from Pakistan. Don't you agree, Mr. Bolton?
Well, I think that's certainly the case. I think from the U.S. perspective right now, I have to say that the Biden administration decision, which carries through the Trump administration decision to withdraw U.S. and ultimately NATO forces from Afghanistan, has put us in a conclusively worse position to deal with all of the terrorist problems that we see coming out of Central Asia. And I think that is a development we still have not taken into account in our strategic thinking. But there's no doubt in my mind that the victory of Taliban in Afghanistan and the inevitable sanctuaries that Al-Qaeda, ISIS-K, and other groups we haven't even heard of yet will get in Afghanistan is going to be negative for, certainly beginning with Afghanistan, but for the United States and all the countries nearby as well. And for those who are aiding any of those terrorist groups, it's time to stop or it's time to bear the consequences. And Pakistan is at the top of that list.
Mr. Bolton, I'd like to know from you how you look upon the present approach of the American government. Short term, medium term, and long term. It appears to me that the Biden administration is only looking at the short term. Get as many Americans out of there as possible. Cut some kind of a understanding or deal with the Taliban in the hope that they will execute on that deal. The Taliban has no history of honoring any deal. How is the Biden government being so naive?
Well, I think it's typical of the Democratic Party's approach to world affairs. I mean, I wouldn't trust the Taliban on any matter, great or small, nor would I give them any assistance. I think what Biden is worried about is the Taliban will not comply with the commitment they made in this poorly negotiated peace agreement, that they won't give sanctuary to Al-Qaeda or ISIS or anybody else. And he's hoping that he can somehow persuade or induce Taliban actually to do that, because Biden knows if there's another terrorist attack on the United States that comes out of Afghanistan, his political future is over and his party will suffer gravely and should suffer gravely for the danger they've presented to the United States. But this is where the naivete, this is the answer to your question. The naivete comes from the view that they've been told that Taliban today is different from Taliban of 20 years ago when it was expelled from Afghanistan and found refuge in Pakistan. The administration says over and over again, the phrase has different formulations, but it all comes down to saying the Taliban have to decide how they want to be viewed by the international community, as if the Taliban cared anything about the so-called international community. This is the risk that Biden is taking. It's an extremely high risk. I think they are going to be cruelly disappointed when they see the Taliban's response, but most dangerously, it will be the increase in the threat of terrorist attacks, just like 9/11, coming again from Al-Qaeda, ISIS, or somebody else.